Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to view our Fall Grantseekers webinar. My name is Mia Hansen, Director of Programs and Communications at the Community Foundation of Kankakee River Valley. The goal of this webinar is to explain the basis of our application process as well as what's included in our fall grant cycle. We'll dive in a bit and talk about the document attachments and the expectation for those. I'll have my contact information posted on the last slide of this presentation, so if there's any questions you still have after this presentation, please do not hesitate to reach out. First and foremost, our mission is to connect people who care with causes that matter in our community. And we do that by assisting donors with building endowments to support their favorite causes in Kankakee and Iroquois County. Our purpose is to enhance the quality of life in Kankakee and Iroquois County today and for the future. We are continuing carrying out our purpose through grant awards. Awarding grants to nonprofit organizations that serve members in our community is one way we fulfill our mission and purpose. Last year, we awarded under $240,000 to nonprofits across Kankakee and Iroquois County in our grant awards. We accept grant applications through our online grants portal. You can access the grant portal through our website at www.cfkrv.org under the Grants tab. In fall of 2022, we launched our new grants platform. So if you have not applied for a grant with our organization since then, this will be the first time you'll be seeing that grant platform. In a moment, we'll show you what that looks like and how to create your account. This grant cycle is also the first grant cycle they have launched a new dashboard. So even if you have been in our grants portal, even if you have applied grants with us before, it will look a little bit different for you as well. Awards are made to organizations with a charitable 501c3 classification by the IRS or quasi-governmental agencies such as schools, libraries, and park districts. Applying organizations without a 501c3 designation that do not qualify as a quasi-governmental agency can be represented by a fiscal sponsor. Keep in mind that only one application can be accepted per 501c3. So that means that if you are a fiscal sponsor who is representing another agency, that you won't also be able to apply in that same grant cycle. Proper documentation will need to be provided to verify your eligibility. And while the Community Foundation attempts to remain flexible in responding to community needs in general, there are just some things that grants are not awarded for. And so these include things for such as religious purposes. However, grants may be given to religious organizations for programs or projects that are consistent with grant guidelines and priorities. Purchasing advertisement, capital, or for operations, for debt reduction, political campaigns, expense categories for short-term technology, administrative costs, salary, fringe benefits, things like that. So the main focus that the community is looking for would be for programs and projects that would align with the grant priorities. If you have any specific questions regarding does your grant fit, or does like a budget line item or expense item fit into a priority or fit into something that we would or wouldn't fund, don't hesitate to reach out and ask. So there are three grants that are in the fall grant cycle. Each have their own separate application. That is the Community Stewardship, the Robert K. Dunn Perpetual Trust, and the Fine Arts Fund, and each have their own specific set of eligibility criteria and their own application to apply. And we're going to go into each of those a little bit deeper. So the Community Stewardship Fund is intended to award grants for the ever-changing needs in our community. So this is a very broad grant. It covers everything from humanities, career pathways, education, health, human services, public safety, arts, culture, education, philanthropy, grant making, public safety, social sciences, sports, recreation, youth and families. There is a full list under the grant guidelines, which can be found on our website as well. So definitely read those before you begin to apply. But this one is definitely more of a broad grant that will address many community needs. Next one is the Robert K. Dunn Perpetual Trust. And the trustees that manage this fund believe that it's necessary to invest its limited funds where they will have the greatest impact on youth. So priority will be given to projects and programs directed at youth that fall into the following categories. These are ones that promote participation and racial integration of at-risk or vulnerable youth in team sports, assist youth who are abused, neglected, delinquent, or mentally, physically, or emotionally challenged, and reduce violence perpetuated in the community. So this one is mainly geared towards youth programs, and then ones specifically that fit into those three categories. And then the next one is the Fine Arts Fund. So grants will be awarded for grant awards will be awarded for grants that for projects in one of these 7 fine arts areas, and that includes painting, music, literature, architecture, sculpture, performing arts, and film. So as we talked about, you can access the grants portal on our website, www.cfkrv.org. And then once you go to our website, you're going to click on the grants tab. And once you click that, you'll click on the grants portal, and that is going to bring you to the login page. Once you're at the login page, if you have already logged in, you'll see a message, and it's going to say, if you've already logged in, if you already have a profile established, go ahead and log in. Or if your organization has already signed up for a profile, has already established a profile with us, and have applied for grants before, but you specifically have not, go ahead and reach out to the administration team so that we can get you added to their profile. Because when you first create an account, you're creating you're creating the account for the organization. So say I'm the YMCA, and the YMCA has never applied for a grant before with the community foundation. I can go ahead and sign up the organization, sign myself up as the contact, and create the profile. But say I'm new to the YMCA and they have already signed up for, they've already established their profile, they've already applied and received grants, but I'm new there and I just need to be added. I would go ahead and contact the community foundation and let them know that I'm new and I need to be added to the already existing profile as a contact. Because if you make another profile, it just gets confusing as far as like the multiple organization profiles, and then you can't like link your history as far as like the grants you've received, and it just gets really messy on the back end. So just make sure that if the organization that you're applying for already has a profile set up, if they've already received a grant, if you've already applied before, just make sure that you're reaching out to us to just get you added to the organization, and that you're not setting up like a whole brand new account for them. So that being said, once you log in, I did mention we have a new looking dashboard. So this is what our new dashboard looks like. It's a little bit more bubblier, a little bit more modern. And so you'll see the grant opportunities. Once you hit apply, you'll see the opportunities available. And then this is what the new dashboard looks like. So since I've already started kind of playing around and applying for applications, these say the opportunities assigned to you. So I've already started these applications, and you'll see it says continue. So I haven't submitted these yet. So once you start applying, you can save them and go back as needed. So it's not like you have to apply all at one time. You can hit save, go back, and then they'll show up here in this bucket and hit continue. You can go back and edit. Here it still says action needed because these aren't completed yet. But then also on this dashboard will show up if you have follow-up forms or evaluations, things like that that need to be submitted or that have been assigned to you as well. Next, we're going to dive into the application. So we're going to talk about each part of the application a bit. The system does use conditional logic, so questions will appear or disappear based on how you answer them. There are required questions that are marked with an asterisk and must be completed in order for the application to be submitted. So with this new grants platform, you are able to collaborate with other users. Specifically, if you are being represented by a fiscal sponsor, you can invite them to utilize, well, you'll have to invite them to utilize this feature. So the first part of the application is the organization information. So if you respond that you are not a 501c3, but you are being represented by a fiscal sponsor, the next thing you'll have to answer is who is that fiscal sponsor, and you will have to invite them to that application because there will be certain pieces that you have to answer and certain pieces that the fiscal sponsor will have to answer as well. A tip about when you are filling out some of these questions on your essay, like you can fill them out in the document and you can save it, but just like technology, other parts of technology, it's not always foolproof. So sometimes it's better if you type them up in Word and copy and paste them into the program. I will have to say this platform has been better than some of the platforms we've used in the past about like timing out and saving things. So I haven't had too many issues with this system, but just in case, maybe type them up separately, copy and paste them into the program here. But you can save as you go, save after every essay, so that way you're not losing any of your information. But yeah, after you enter your organization information, you'll have your project information. This is where you're going to see your budget upload. You'll go into the community impact, your organization capacity, fiscal capacity, required documents, and then the declaration of compliance. We're going to dive a bit deeper into the attachments and your required documents, just so you know what's expected, just so you know what we're looking for. And that way we make sure that you have all your questions answered and that you know what you need. So for the attachments and required documents, in order for the following documents or for, like your application to be valid, these documents must be submitted correctly. So we need the project budget, your timeline, your letter of determination if you're a 501c3 or if you have a fiscal sponsor, your 990 if you're required to file one, a W-9 if we're required to have that, if it'll let you know if we need that from you, your governing board, year-to-date balance sheet, and then a financial audit or statement depending on what the filing requirements are. So we do have some resources within this PowerPoint and on our website, just kind of letting you know based on your organization what exactly it is we will be looking for. Here you will see the required budget upload worksheet. So the grants committee has requested that we have a standard budget worksheet across all of the grant applications, and this just makes it streamlined so that way when they're looking at the budgets, they have it organized and they know exactly what they're looking at. This is available in the grant application. It will direct you to a link on our website, which is found under the grant resources. And then it'll have you download that worksheet, and it'll have you, you can fill that in, and then you will upload that into your application. So this is the worksheet that is required. And like I said, that just makes so that it's all organized and streamlined for our grants committee. And then in the next couple slides, we'll show you what is expected as far as what we're looking for your project budget. And then also last grant cycle, we had added a budget narrative, and that just helps you when you're applying, go into a bit more detail of those line items. If you have any questions as far as how much detail, like the more detail, definitely the better. This helps the committee, like I said, just know what we're funding, why it's important, and how it relates to the grant, how it's going to impact those that you are serving. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And then we'll explain in the next couple slides as far as how to fill out that budget worksheet. So here is an example of, we got a green smiley face here, of a detailed and descriptive budget. It's organized by category, and it's descriptive. So they're saying, I gotta lean in here so I can read a bit better. But they have the resume workshop in August, and they're saying the interview workshop in September. And in September, and then the financial literacy is in October and November. And in October and November, they need, these certain materials. And then in November, they're doing this assessment, and they need these materials, and they need it for this many students. And they need, they're doing this program, and they need this many materials for this 6 weeks, and they're very, I'm not going into the description of everything they're saying here, but they're giving numbers for how many students, how many table settings, how many speakers, how many it's costing per item, and things like that. And it's, I don't want to say it's even over here because we got like the percent of the budget. So they have a kind of cost per item, and then amount requested, funded from other source here. So it's kind of nicely divvied up here, percent of total budget, it adds up at the bottom. So this is nicely written, descriptive. We're going to go to the next one here. So this one has some line items, it says workshop, dinner. It gives the totals, but it leaves much to the imagination. There's not much description here. The grants committee would probably look at it and say, there's not much detail, not much meat and potatoes here. And like I said, leaves a lot to the imagination. So they would say there's a little bit of breakdown, but I'm not really sure what's included in this. Next one here, we have a sad face. We have a thumbs down. It just says, this is our program, and this is the money we need. And so it doesn't really give any sort of description. And yes, we've seen budgets that look like this. And that's where the budget narrative is coming in to help you guys think and be more descriptive in what we're looking for. So the next thing is a project timeline. So this is a good description of the project timeline. They have it broken down, each date, what they're doing, the time they're doing it, what's the, what time it's happening, what's the name of the program, and the date it's happening. So this is like they have different workshops. So these are the dates of all the workshops and what's happening in that workshop. next description, it's kind of an okay one. It just says, once we get the grant, we'll begin hosting workshops in August. The workshops will vary each month, happen in the evenings. In November, we'll have a dinner. The program will end in May. So we kind of have a timeline. It sounds like it's going from August to May with like a November mid check-in. So, I mean, I have a timeline, but it's not broken down nicely like the one previously before that was. Again, leaves more to the imagination, a lot of filling in the blanks. This is the tax exempt letter which we are requesting. It is the letter of determination letter from the IRS. This is the letter indicating that you are 501c3, have a 501c3 designation from the IRS. So this is different from the Illinois tax exempt. So on the next slide here, I'll show you. Often these do get confused. So we do have this with the big circle and X through it. That's the Illinois sales tax exempt. So we are not looking for that one. We're looking for that letter of determination for that federal sales tax exempt. Next, we'll move on to the 990. So on our website, we also have a grant resources tab, and that chart is on there, and it will show you just some information based on if you are required to file a 990, and that's based on your gross receipts and your total assets. So there's a link to the website plus that chart up there just in case you need that information, and that'll let you know if you're required to upload that into your application. And then the next slide will just show you some examples of that 990. So it's either the 990, the 990 Easy, or the 990N, which is the postcard, which looks like this here. Or this is that postcard. You can just upload that. If you don't upload the 990, if you're not required, we'll have to just have a copy of your W-9, or if you're not a nonprofit 501c3 or fiscal sponsor, but if you are affiliated with the church or a quasi-governmental, we'll just have to have a copy of a W-9 on file for you. And like I said, the system uses a conditional logic, so it will prompt you and let you know what is required. So this is what that W-9 looks like. For the governing board, we just ask that you upload a document which contains the first and last name of each of your board members, the city and state of their residence, their employer, and their title, and then their email address. This just gives us some information about your board, and just helps us give information about your organization as well and who supports them. In regards to statement of financial position, we're looking for the balance sheet. And there is a bit of confusion regarding this document upload. So the balance sheet contains the current assets, the current liabilities, and the net assets. It does not have the profits, loss, or the cash flow. So in the next slides, we are going to show you some examples. So this is a thumbs up, a good example of the balance sheet. This has it has the assets, the liabilities, and then the net assets at the bottom. The next slide is actually a statement of activities, and that's like the revenue versus expensive. That is a thumbs down. That's not what we're looking for. And then as far as the full financial audit, so if we need the full financial audit, just depends on like the size of your organization and the requirements for filing. So it is in the grant resource tab, those requirements. So we're just going off the federal and the legal requirements. So if your organization is required to file one, go ahead and upload that. If you're not, you can file that shortened version. Just whatever is legally required, we will have you upload. And then don't forget to actually complete and submit your application. So don't leave that in draft mode. Make sure you actually go through and hit that submit button down at the bottom. All the submissions will be due Friday, September 12th. And then after all those applications are submitted, all the applications will go through a staff review process. So we'll go ahead and review all the documents. We'll make sure that all the applications are into the focus areas and for those 3 grants. And then the grants committee will be assigned the grants, and then they will evaluate each grant individually. They're going to be looking for a clear purpose and goals. Does it serve a high need population? Are the goals measurable and attainable? Is your grant ambitious and realistic with its planned activities? Do you have a well-conceived plan, time schedule, and clearly planned outcomes? Is the fund usage realistic, or fund usage and the budget realistic? Is there a plan for collaboration and a plan for future funding? So then after all of our grant reviewers review the grants, they'll come together as a committee, talk about it, make their selections. We'll bring those recommendations to the board. And then after that, we'll be able to let you know. So then as far as the award notification, so if you're selected for award, we'll let you know by phone or through email beginning probably early November. Like I said, we have to go through that review process. Your instructions will be given to accept your award in a follow-up form. So you'll, you'll get an email and it'll let you know you've been assigned a follow-up form in our grants portal, and then you'll be given a deadline to accept your award. And that information is going to come through our grants portal. So the email is on this slide right here, the administrator at grantinterface.com. So sometimes emails come through our platform and they get pushed to spam. So sometimes it's a good idea to have this email saved in your email as a contact. That way you don't miss any correspondence, because this is how those system generated emails will come through. I will try my best to go through and send, especially very important emails or ward notifications or the acceptance forms or evaluation forms that I need completed through my personal email. But just so you're not missing anything that is coming through from the system, I would add this email to your contacts. And then if you're not accepted or if you're not selected for award, you'll get an email notification just letting you know that unfortunately your grant application was not selected. For grant reporting, your choice of grant reporting will be due June 12th. 2026. So we do give the choice in grant reporting. You'll be able to choose between a grant and a grant evaluation, which is due through our grants portal. You get to select a phone or a virtual interview. You can do a video submission, or you can do a site visit. And then this slide just has some important dates to remember. As of today, our grants portal is open. All applications are due September 12th, which is a Friday. Your notifications and awards will happen early to mid-November, so you'll be notified first. You'll be given a time frame to accept your award, and then shortly after that, those awards will be going out in the mail. And then June of next summer, 2026, is when your evaluations will be due. And then, I'm putting that slide up now. Sorry, I spoke too soon. So go ahead and screenshot the important dates here so you have them. And then as promised, My contact information is here. Once again, my name is Mia Hansen. My email is mia@cfkrv.org. Our foundation office phone number is 815-939-1611. You can just call that line and select Mia, and that'll give you to my direct line. But if you have any questions, just give me a call, send me an email, please reach out. But yeah, as of now, the applications are open. You can go ahead and apply. Quick reminder, if you don't have an account but your organization does, send me an email and I will get you set up on their account, so we're not creating like a double account for your organization. But yeah, any further questions, comments, concerns, anything like that regarding eligibility, grant requests, accessing your account, anything like that, like please reach out. I'm here to help. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great evening, morning, weekend, whenever you're tuning in, and take care.